The move from custom to retail really came from the hogs. So many people had tasted our sausage from the people that bought the custom hogs or that we had over or whatever, and they were looking for nitrate-free bacon, nitrate-free sausages, organic seasonings, all that. So we started with this process. So go over this process of labeling something like a value-added meat product. First of all, it's a USDA process ultimately, and so as you can imagine, there's a mountain of hoops to jump through. The first thing that you would want to do if you were interested in doing something like this is to go and talk to the USDA processor that you want to use, because if they don't want to do this for you, you either have to give it up or you have to go to another USDA processor, because you have to get that bug on the product to be able to sell it. So we kind of came in through through the back door, and if we had known what we had to go through to do it, it probably would have, I don't know, we might have been overwhelmed. So the first thing I did was to play with the seasonings, mixing up the different recipes that we wanted to try, finding out what we liked and what we didn't like. We guinea pigged ourselves first, and then when we found what we liked, we went ahead and started selling it to our customers. So as soon as we developed the recipes and we found a certified spice kitchen to work with who would be willing to handle the state level things that you have to do. You have to send it in, for instance, in Idaho, you have to send it to the ISDA to be approved, and you have to send it to the FDA in Idaho. The FDA doesn't ever get involved except for this one step. So you submit those recipes to them, they send it back. They're really easy to deal with. Once that's complete, then you have to take this information to the USDA plant, and the USDA plant fills out this mountain of carbon copy paperwork and sends it off to the USDA to get a label approved. They're not looking at what's in the sausage seasoning very much. That's really not it. It's more just approving what the label looks like. Although they do have a few things that are quirky, but for the most part, it's just the label. Then you wait, and we had it get lost several times. You know, in the process, one recipe would get lost several times or had to be resubmitted because the person who was looking over the application didn't like the way it looked, and on and on and on. Anyway, this is my daughter Emily and my son Devin, and they're also, you can see them in the picture with the pigs. They're at Main Market. We sell to Main Market in Spokane. Let's see. So once it's approved by the USDA, then the processor has to write it into all their HACCP plans and include it in all their paperwork that is kept right there at the plant. And then they have to get the label into their machines and do it. So it takes a long time, and you also want to realize that you don't want to approach a processor in August with a request like this, because they're going to laugh at you, and who can blame them? They're busy. So there's also a cost associated with that, in that the processor is going to likely charge you for their time, because it does take them a lot of time. Rewriting those HACCP plans can be quite onerous according to the processor that we use, which is Wood. Let's see here. Right now we have 4 pork sausage recipes and 1 beef sausage recipe labeled, and we'll have another 4 recipes that we'd like to label. I don't know when that will come down the pike. Selling cuts retail is pretty easy, as long as you take it to Woods or another USDA processor. Basically, you want to tell them that you're going to sell it custom, because a lot of them have 2 different kinds of tape that they put on the packages. One of them will have the USDA bug, and the other will be a custom tape. So, of course, you need that bug on there to sell it retail, which most of you probably know. The cuts can be sold anywhere once they have that bug. You would want to check with your local health department if you're doing a farmer's market or something like that, because there are regulations for that. Like Diane said, we sell at the farmer's market, and we also barbecue there. In order to do that, we need a permit from Panhandle Health District. Be sure you understand that, you know, to do that, you need to sell quite a bit of meat and grilled products to really make it worthwhile, because you've got the cost of the permit. In our part of Idaho, you have to have a freezer, and I just plugged that into the nearest tree for electricity. We have to have a generator, not a generator because the farmer's market won't allow a generator, but a battery converter, and I have to haul around this really heavy battery. The battery weighs more than the freezer, I swear. But those kind of things you have to think of when you're talking about wanting to go sell cuts or grilled meat. You know, frozen meat, and then of course grilled meats and stuff are going to be potentially hazardous foods, and so different health districts are going to have different requirements on that. I think that one of the important things that Rob and I feel is that being a small farmer is also being a marketing machine. We are never, ever off duty. We've built our customer base slowly. We've observed what people want, seeing how that meshes with what we want and what we want to do, and then trying it. Like I said, we experiment a lot. One thing about what we've done is that we're consistent. We have the same story every time somebody calls. We also have an open farm policy. We encourage people to come visit. We don't get very many people to take us up on it, but we encourage everyone that we talk to come and visit. Many of our customers are referred from other customers. Other avenues that we have are we have a website. We're listed on eatwild.com, localharvest.com, Six Rivers Market. We sell at Winter Ridge, Main Market, and Fresh Abundance. Also at the Moscow Food Co-op, and we've sold at various farmers markets. We've pretty much reached the max of that our family of four can do on this farm without hiring outside help. That introduces a conundrum because then Rob would have to work more until the farm could absorb that cost as well. The farm supports itself, and it's starting to help to support the family. You know, there's a benefit of living on a farm. We eat really well, but it takes quite a bit of time to get there. We have 5 freezers. One of them is a 5x6 walk-in. Those freezers are pretty much running year-round just because of the way things happen. So we store a lot of meat and go through a lot of meat in our freezers. We've really been recently working on how to balance our family and our farm life because we were pretty focused on the farm, and our kids are now in 6th and 9th grade, and we want them to enjoy the farm more. We're starting to get a little onerous, and we're hoping that they might want to come back after college and take things over. We have tried pretty diligently to instigate some kind of intern, apprentice, or incubator kind of farm thing, and we'd really like to get something like that done. The one thing that we've had trouble with is that a lot of people only want to stay for a short amount of time, and with animals, they're just getting to know people when the person wants to leave. So plus cows only calve once a year, pigs we can farrow them twice a year, and pastured broilers only grow in June, July, and August. So to get a real experience here on this farm, you really need to spend about a year here. So we're continuing to work towards that. If you know anybody, send them my way. And that kind of covers my brief in a nutshell. Are there any questions?
Hi, everybody. This is Melissa again. Thank you. We do have 3 questions in tonight, and they're all good ones. We'll see if we have time for all of them. Mimi, first off, Jessica asked a good question. How do you find the closest USDA processor in your region?
Boy.
How would you suggest they go about doing that?
Well, actually, I think a good place to start is if you're using a custom butcher, I would ask them. There's also, I guess you could look in the phone book. You could, maybe the USDA has a search function on their site. Another thing is that you could call, for instance, you could call Woods in Sandpoint. And if anybody wants their number, it's 263-3077, area code 208, of course, and ask them who the USDA processors are. They have a really good idea because they all share, all of the regional USDA processors up here share the same, or several of inspectors. So the inspector is not at each plant all week long. They go to different plants during the week, as far as I understand it.